Okay, this one. What's that? Yeah. Okay, so I just saw something today evening. Uh, I went for church now just now. Before I came, I saw some news from not not basically news. It's a tweet from somebody or a handle called Table Salt. Let me pull up that Table Salt tweet. So as per his tweet, I think it's not his. He just tweeted a stat from Stat Canada, I believe. Let me share the screen first. Yeah, uh, I this is kind of an important tweet actually. Give me a minute. Where is that? Just shared it this morning. Like to just now. Okay, let me go back. So that is something related to the debt. So that's kind of shocking, but nothing is shocking this time, right? This time, but trying to find that tweet. Table salt household at. Yeah, this is the one. So if you look at this tweet, he said household debt in Canada hit 3 trillion 223 billion and 21 million in December 2025, of which 118 billion is credit card debt, which is very worrisome. This is super bad. And as per Stat Canada, I think both are record high. What do you think about it?
Canada, this is specific to Canada, right? So this is
If you
definitely
look
one
at
of our
world US debt, it's even crazy. But anyways, US is what,
no, but
36?
specifically Canada, right? This is one among the richest countries in the world.
Mhm.
Still, this is a debt-based society. Like if I want to think only about credit cards, right? Let's think about people who are coming into the country. When they come into the country and go visit a bank, let them be a student or let them be an immigrant on work permit. When they first go to a bank for opening an account, obviously a checking account, so that their paycheck will come into their account. By default, there will be a recommendation from the banks to issue a credit card, and that is the first point or the first step where a person into the country is being told to start use the credit card so that you can build your credit score in a new country where you're about to start probably your studies or probably your work, or you may end up as a permanent resident or eventually a citizen. Eventually a citizen. Now,
Yeah.
That's the beginning. When people are new, people may have a different experience of spending money back in their own country, and the moment they land into the new country and they have a credit card, that impulsive buying behavior, that that may that may be the triggering point for people to start using the credit cards heavily. But that doesn't mean they should not pay the money back. But at one point, when it becomes uncontrollable to start using my credit card for any type of purchase, even before thinking that I cannot pay that money back within this month, which is going to eventually pile up as a debt, that's where I see a lot of credit card debt is happening. A mortgage, obviously, it is considered to be a good debt. Though it is a debt, it is considered to be a good debt. But that has a long period to catch up, like 25 years, 30 years to pay it back. But when it comes to any other type of debt, let it be a student loan that is pending to repay it, or a line of credit which is taken as a debt. A line of credit is considered as a debt, right?
Yep.
Obviously, yeah. So all those are are being piling up for one good reason. If it is being told, it is because of inflation.
But what does that mean actually, right? That this means what I feel like, what I feel is like, leverage or debt is is getting elevated actually, right? Because Canadian families or households, they are actually carrying unprecedented they are going into unprecedented debts or liabilities, right? And this increases systemic vulnerabilities, I would say. And also that all debts are not equal, by the way, right? But as you just mentioned, mortgage, auto loans are there. It's not just mortgage, right? Car loans, I don't know, as per that stat, is credit card debt is alone is like what, 118 billion. So that's a worrisome number, right?
Yeah, beyond the numbers, if we think as a very common person, right? A debt always affect a mental health. So it may have the impact on your relationship, or maybe it will have a impact on the long term goals. But eventually, if we want to see the good in the bad situation here is, if once you understand the problem better, it gives the first step to get the control back and start doing certain fixes, or try to pin a plan for oneself, not for the country, because a change in the country should start from the family, or from the person, each person in the country.
Yeah, but that is not that realistic. Just you also mentioned the society itself is dead by society, right? So that is not realistic. Uh, Credit card debt is, yeah, the things we need to look at is credit card debt is a high interest debt, right? And it signals, how to say, long term, no, not long term, it signals there is, it signals like short term, what you call liquidity or stress. Yeah, liquidity, stress, we can combine both of them, right? But yeah, but the thing is, Canadian GDP is supported by, I would say, no, significantly supported by real estate or real estate expansion or whatever. And then and then the consumer spending, which is again financed by borrowing itself. So without that, growth, at least in Canada, I would say, growth slows down, I believe. But on the same way, I was looking at some other. some others. I will. It's the same from table salt itself, but just let me see if I can. Uh, where is that?
Yeah, while you're looking for that, like all this debt, though it is considered to be a new record set by the country by itself, it did not happen overnight. Everything had a gradual increase.
Yep.
So the fix cannot be expected overnight as well. So any small step that has to be taken by the individual or or through a policy that has to be considered in a very disciplined way so that it will be more consistent, and it may help to bring down certain debts within control.
Let me the same thing that you are saying. Oh yeah, I found it. I believe. Yeah, if you see that uh, consumer price index. Okay, I think that is a tweet from him yesterday. Do you see the beef price? And by the way, it's just showing whatever, right? But so he said, just confirm beef price inflation in Canada is now surging at 18.8% in over 12 months, right? Look at that chart. What? It's too
Oh,
bad, eh?
why just focus on beef? Is that something indicating of
He,
is there
I just saw
significant
this tweet from
indication of
him.
something?
CPI, if I can look at the CPI data, then I think I can find out more. Uh, let me see if I can pull more data for inflation. CPI data from Stats Canada. CPI index portal. Okay, consumer price index. So January 2026 in Canada, the CPI price overall CPI increased by 2.3%. Wow. Okay. Oh, actually no. Oh yeah, 2.3%. And food prices, food price purchase from stores that went up 4.8%. And then the housing cost and everything went up 1.7%. So as per Stats Canada, they are saying that the gasoline price index is largely contributor to the deceleration in headline inflation, with a larger decline in January compared to December. Excluding the gasoline, the CPI rose 3% in January, matching the increase in December. So excluding food and energy, the CPI rose 2.4% year over year in January, following 2.4% increase in December.
But I think the tweet was specific about the beef
Yeah,
price,
he
right?
just pulled up. He just pulled up beef because the food prices, right? I think he might have used that thing as for the food. Uh, so this is okay. So consumers pay less for gasoline year over year in January. Pumps fell at 16% overall. Okay, blah blah blah. It's impact of last year GST HST break for food purchase restaurant is to 12.3%. Prices for food purchase from restaurants, prices were higher in January 2026, 12.3% compared with January 2025. Okay, so similarly, prices rose a year over year basis for previously tax exempted goods in January 2026, including alcoholic beverages purchased from store at 7.9%. So, if we combine both the data, what I feel what he mentioned about the news that we saw before, which is what you call that household debt, and this one, let me run through these numbers to once. Okay, so where can I find? So the price services put down for pressure and consumer price of fresh fruits decline year over year. Okay, shelter costs continue to grow, slower pace, regional highlights. Okay, so if you look at that, that means the household debt continues to increase, or shelter price continues to grow at slower pace. So that the household debt is already continuing to grow or outpace the income. Uh, if you look at the previous quarter balance sheet, the household debt or household credit is rising, right, than the income, and also it's pushing debt to income ratio way too high. I don't want to say way too high, but it's higher, right? And then the debt to income ratio is like what, 100 to 175 through in 2025. Sorry, 100 to 175% in 2025, which means it's a dollar and 70 of debt for $1 of, no, dollar 1.7 to 1.75 dollar of debt with an income of $1 of disposable income, right? uh, but on the same way, uh, if you look at the historical data, I think this is slightly below the peak of 2022.
But if we start thinking from the aspect of, how did we even get here? Top three reasons if we need to pick, or top big reasons that end up to be in the highest debt in the G7 countries. One is eventually the housing explosions, right? Like, when I say explosions, the prices of home or houses in many cities compared to how it was like 5 years ago, in just like 1 or 2 years, the prices were doubled, and people have stretched themselves, so that they can get in and buy a home. So the next major reason, if you say, if you look into, eventually after the housing prices, or most people opted to get more like, houses for themselves, when the interest rates were low. At one point, interest rates started moving higher, rather than the expected pace. So the payments for most of the homeowners were unimaginable, and it suddenly became painful. And the third reason, as because they were unable to manage the mortgage payment, with the high interest rate, they have to outpace the cost of living, basically outpace their income. So people have to use their credit card for surviving, not to splurge. And in fact, this may not be a bad budgeting problem totally. I'm looking from the aspect of, it's kind of a structural problem, and millions of people are stuck on it.
Yeah, I want to go back to the reasons that you mentioned, right? Housing issue, yes. That housing inflation, I would say that is the major reason, yes. But that also is depending upon the next major reason, which is interest rates, right? And they are not like normal interest rate. They're not like they went down crazy during COVID period, right? Like they are like ultra cheap, no, ultra low, I would say, right? And then this ultra low interest rate or cheap or yeah, the lowest interest rate, I would say, caused borrowing or yeah, the debt. The lowest interest rate made debt, or it normalized debt with a high leverage, right? And also variable interest rates. That's the most common or biggest pitfall. I would say most of the people jumped into buying homes, which again is the primary reason for or primary uh, cause, I would say, for this situation. And then many of the investors, how to say, many of the investors use that low interest rate and to take leverage, right? Most of the people consider that as an opportunity and went into that. The other thing that you did not mention is, yeah, I do agree with what points you mentioned there, but there are the other major issue, I would say, is the population growth, right? Population increase like crazy, it just shot up like crazy, but there's no housing supply, right? And because there's no housing supply, what happened? The demand increased. Obviously the rental prices will increase, or the prices of the house, yeah, rental prices will increase. What do you call, the rental pressure will increase, which increase the higher rents. And then as the rents are increasing, obviously people went for buying stuff, sorry, houses and whatever, and then it increased more mortgages and everything. And then the property valuations started to increase. Actually at one point it just shot like it went crazy, right? And all of these supply constraints again amplified the no combinedly amplified the price, outside pressure price, yeah. And then cost of living, obviously if these three increase, obviously the cost of living will increase, and it shot through the roof during, no, not during, post COVID, from 2021, end of 2021 to 2024, until last year, right? So what we saw is no what happened is from 2020, end of 2021 to 2024, interest rates were they started either maintaining or increasing their interest rates, right? So what happened? Everything spiked up, such as like food prices went up like crazy, gas prices went up like crazy, right? And what you call the utilities, obviously gas and everything dependent, right? Utilities, insurance prices, rents, and everything went up. And those people are many the families that borrowed money using credit, no, borrowed money during that time for mortgage or whatever. They could not meet their needs because of the income, right? One Whatever the income ratio that we just saw, 1.7 to 1.75% of $1, right? So what families had to do is they had to use their credit cards like crazy to get their short-term needs met, I would say, right? And then obviously this what do you call, the price in income increase did not happen, and then wages remained, wage growth, I would say, not wages, wage growth remained the same, or it slowed down kind of. And also productivity went down. It did not went down. Actually, it became super weak, right? And also the asset prices went increases increased. So with all of this, what happened is the debt started to expand faster, right? Than than the income. And there are other different other factors too. uh, how to frame this, but all of it, after looking all of this, what do you think is, how to say, based on this condition, what do you think the future is going to be, right? Because
So future is no. In
dark, eh?
simple words, future is always unpredictable, right? So people would have never thought, like, people were in a race or maybe in a rush to buy home like 3 4 years ago because the interest rate were way less. They might have had a budget based on their income, even if they stretch their limit to buy a home. That could have been within their limits to pay the mortgage and have the same lifestyle of living, and even have a very common peaceful life. But when the interest rate started moving up, which people may not have thought it will go in a rapid pace, that's exactly where things started going away from their plan. They had to depend on either line of credit card, and to keep their credit score well, they and not to go into hit their credit score. People started paying only minimum payments, right? I'm not blaming people here, right? And we are now into a situation that the country is currently into a situation where the debt is in the at the highest end, or no, it's in the highest range. Like I said before, things cannot be like it is a gradual growth, and it cannot be fixed overnight. But where it can start is from every individual by taking small steps or baby steps. I myself can start tracking my spending for 1 week and see what are the areas of spending that are really much needed, uh, things that can be avoided, and if that can be controlled, right? And even if I go talk to someone, like a friend, or neighbors, they may be all they may also have the same experience, or the same story to share.
But what do you think, this is going to be like a collapse or an opportunity situation? Is it going to be an opportunity for people, for families, or it's going to be a complete shit show?
Yeah, that is unpredictable, right? A simple policy change, or any type of uh, what to say. So any type of like concession. I'm trying to get that right word here. You know, there are let's say if the interest rate is going down, the monthly mortgage is expected to go down. Now people should not think I was able to, like, this month I can able to save some x number of dollars. If they start thinking in the aspect of spending that dollar, then no, this is never going to end. So the debt is going to keep increasing for the overall as a country.
Yeah,
The other
that
side,
is
if they wanted to make use of that money and start closing the debt what they have, even
Mhm.
the smallest debt they have, that small step will compound. Not but from one person's standpoint, when we look into the overall population in the country, and every single person, if they try to do something as a small step, just like the debt grows quietly, the progress does too.
uh, yeah, but on the same way, this is
What do you think?
if you ask me, 30 is in $3 trillion, right? And then market is going crazy. Inflation is also like, it's not, yeah, it's a year. What I think is this is going to be kind of a slow squeeze for the families, because the household debts will continue to rise, but not at a faster rate. It will still continue to rise, but slowly. Uh, there are multiple reasons why I think so, right? But on the same way, the housing prices will also be. I think we may be observing that now housing prices are not increasing as quickly as before, right, or as fast as before. So housing prices will move sideways for quite some time, I believe. Future is not in our hands, but at least I would say, let's say 2026 and 27, right? Housing price will go kind of slowly. And also we should not forget the situation in US too, right? When housing price in US fell down, they still did not grow as quickly as before. But anyways, and what I think with regards to the income is that will remain the same, like moderate. It won't grow that quickly. uh End of the day, this consumption from, yeah, from different angles, right, that will kind of slow down or soften. But it still won't collapse, but still, yeah, it will be there. Like, it will soften, I would say. But on the largest share, if you ask me, the income may go up. No, income, yeah, no, overall household income may go up. Spending may reduce. Discretionary spending, I think we consider that for filling our client profile and whatever, right? But anyways, home ownership will become a lingering issue. Not lingering issue, I would say. It will. So youngsters or young Canadians, I think they home ownership will be delayed, I would say. If I don't know if that's the correct word, but savings will from become like buffer, right? So that's savings is good. It's going to be a hard thing for us now. But anyways, the
I
other
don't know
thing,
how no, I don't know how true, no, how much. I don't have much of information here, but I recently heard from someone saying that government is giving for first-time home buyers a good loan, like, a loan, interest-free loan
uh
for $25,000 or so. So in that case, I'm at least assuming first-time owners, some no, they may not encounter a delay to become an owner.
no, buying taking $25,000 from government and buying a house is a different thing. But meeting the needs after that is going to be a big challenge, right? So if somebody just rushes, like that's what happened in 2021. People just ran into buying the house, and then now, how many people are trying to sell their houses now, and they got stuck with whatever they bought for. I Some of my, I don't want to say clients, but some of the people I know, that's crazy. They bought the house for what, 700, 800, and a couple of people bought for 1.5 million, not 1.5, sorry, 1.2 million. And now the prices dropped to $800,000 and $700,000, and these people are like going crazy, right? Anyways, uh with regards to, there is a certain thing that Bank of Canada use, soft landing or whatever. If we consider that scenario, in order for us to achieve that, no, that's not going to be possible. No. But in order for us to even look at that, I think we need stable income. The rate cut should be should either be gradual. There should be gradual rate cuts or at least stable rates, right? And then the housing price should remain kind of stable, and it should not give a shock to people, right? Wage growth should exceed the inflation, which is the biggest thing. If this happens, if this scenario is, or I would say, if let's consider that this scenario happens, then debt to income ratio will stabilize, kind of, and then the growth or consumption through credit cards will slow down, because obviously the very first point that I mentioned, debt to income ratio, right? And after that, as these two stabilize, then the consumer confidence will obviously increase or improve, and obviously, and everything will be will end up at housing market, right? That will also stabilize, but we cannot guarantee that it won't fall or it won't go down more, but it will at least try to maintain there, right? But yeah, this is what I think, right? But but what I feel, there are certain things that may uh, how to say, that may decide the future. The biggest thing I would say is, anyways, we are predicting or thinking about what may happen, right? The biggest thing that I think will be housing that will still dominate the household outcomes, right? Because Canada, like, economy is mainly depending on household, what do you call this, real estate, right? And if housing stabilizes, then household or families will stabilize too. And if housing, what do you call, if that weakens or it gets there, if there is a major correction in housing market, then obviously the what do you say, balance sheet, I don't know if that is the correct word, but balance sheets for people, for families, will become weak. And if this is the case, then obviously the delinquencies will rise, credit card delinquencies, right? And then stress will spread like crazy. uh, some some people who bought houses at the earlier stage, I would say, like, let's say a simple term, right? Like old house owners who has some assets accumulated, they can manage debt kind of okay. They can be in a kind of a good position. But young people are the people who bought houses recently, they will still be at a higher leverage point, and they may not have access to assets too, right? And end of the day, the whole uh, that is, rich becomes rich, poor becomes poorer. People who bought the house, who has assets, they will stay rich. Their assets may stay, or they may accumulate more. And people who are starting life now, they may become more poorer, right? But end of the day, like whatever the case, what we have to find, we have to keep our eye on what uh, debt to income ratio. How is debt to income ratio? Somebody just text me. Yeah, we have to keep our eye on what debt to income ratio, mortgage costs. Oh, by the way, not mortgage costs, right? Mortgage renewals also. Most of the people, house families, are up for mortgage renewal this year, going into next year, right? and this mortgage renewal may be come at a higher cost too, so we have to look for that too, right? And then the unemployment rate, obviously markets are going crazy now, right? So, and then supply demand, obviously, for the housing, and then the construction to housing to immigration, we have to look for that too. But yeah, end of the day, as we said before, Canada is a debt based society. Canada is built on heavier consumption based on debt. It may be a good debt, right? If you consider good debt, then that's mortgage, right? Obviously, and then population growth. This is what I feel. But if what I feel is the situation will be too fragile and will be under stress, tremendous stress. That's what I feel. But end of the day, so we are talking a lot about this thing, right? But how do you think that we should, what's your opinion about how we should we, in the sense, like Canadian families should address this issue, right?
Yeah, I guess I spoke about it, but still, like as a takeaway, what I could say is, Canada's debt crisis is real, but that doesn't mean I am I'm powerless, and I'm not alone either, and I'm not behind. Every single step, like I said before, for a week, the families can track. I said for myself, but the families, if they wanted to, try this, they can track their spending for a week time and see what were the necessity spending and what were something that could have been delayed, or no, something that is not completely necessary at all. That way, it will at least show or indicate in the following week what is my much needed expense, what are the expense that I can avoid, and what are the expense that I can procrastinate. So people are procrastinating to take a decision to save money, but not for spending. But with this behavior, or no, with this as a habit, it may give them a chance to procrastinate spending their money so that they can see more money towards savings for managing their next day or the next week.
Mhm. That's all, eh?
Yeah.
But I think the situation is, if you ask me, the situation is kind of tight for not not just for the, I would say, I don't want to use the term, but yeah, situation is tight for everybody in Canada now, kind of, right? Uh, we discussed everything, the reasons why, but I would say it is time for people to maintain or tighten or strengthen their funds or liquidity, right? Because I do not know how many people. No, I know what the stat is, but I do not want to bring it up here. But most of the people here do not even have TFSA. Most of the people do not have major savings in their accounts, right? And people are, I've, from what I know, if you see, just an example, right? If we have, if you go to a party or what do you call, a group or a gathering, ask people which car do you drive. If people say BMW, some people may say Camry, some people may say what do you call, Lamborghini or whatever, right? You ask them a question about the car, they will sit and talk for hours and hours and hours and hours. But if you ask them, okay, you know what, I am a licensed person. I have license. I help people. I help families build their financial foundation or lay a strong financial foundation. People will just run away, and they will treat you like, or some who are the guy, right? Who are the person? They will treat him like he's crazy. That so society people are trained in such a way that they discuss more or feel strengthened to discuss about their spendings, not the savings, right? So if you talk about savings, people will just walk away from there. Anyways, so emergency fund is a must. People should at least have 6 months of 6 months of that. We always say our clients to, right? They should have at least 6 months of emergency funds. The second thing, and the biggest thing I would say, is try to reduce or eliminate the debt. If you cannot remove or eliminate or close all the debts, at least try to remove your high interest debts. We are clearly discussing about debt here. The entire country's debt is high, exceeded 3 trillion now. And then end of the day, who is going to pay that? We are going to pay that. Our future kids or family members are going to pay that, right? But anyways, make sure that people should, family should make sure that their credit card debt, no, I don't want to say credit card, any debt with a higher interest rate should be cleared off. And then they have to make sure that they have a predictable cash flow for them on monthly basis or weekly basis or whatever, right? And then they have to invest, right? Because we, we mentioned it so many times, right? It's a debt-based society. In a debt-based economy or society, as I don't know, as a society, let's talk finance, right? So in a debt-based economy, liquidity, I don't know, I do not know if I can say liquidity. Okay, liquidity is like resilience, I would say, or is resilience, I would say. I had, but anyways, so people should address their debt very aggressively, right? There are different other strategies. We also did certain, what you call those, campaigns on how to address those debt and whatever. But let's see if we can schedule more campaigns in the coming future. But anyways, uh, credit card debt is super destructive, and the interest that people are going to pay is 20,000. If people, sorry, not 20,000, 20%, right? Minimum 21%. If people invest the same $10,000, I think that's the example you gave in one of the campaign, right? So $10,000, if they invest uh, with the same 20% growth, they will get at least $2,000 per year on interest, right? But on the same, if that is reverse, if that is reverse, then they will be paying $2,000 as their interest towards the credit card, right? So which won't go down, right? And they'll be paying a lot amount, and I don't know how much time, 5 years, 5 years, I think they'll be paying double the amount, right? So anyways, that's one thing. uh, so what is that? People should maintain, our family should maintain liquidity is the must. Next, they should clear the debt. uh, the third thing I would say is income increase the income no increase the options for income. you know I'll tell you I don't know if you know, you may not know it, but at one point, up until 2024 January 11, I had so much debt, right? And I was working at a different company and whatever, right? But morning 3:30 I go to work, come back at 2:30, 3:30, and then I applied for, no, I was doing skip as well, right? So from 4:30 in the evening till 8:30 in the night, or sometimes 9, I will be doing skip the dishes. Like it's not for it's not because like I must do it, but the thing is I want to clear the debt. If one payment is missing, then your credit score will drop. People will start calling, and lots of stuff goes downhill, right? Anyway, so what I thought is, okay, let me work couple of months more, couple of hours more in a day rather than sitting at home. Then yeah, eventually I cleared my debt, right, in January 11th. But anyways, yeah, we should look at, not we, people should look at, our families should look at how to increase their income, right? They should either look for secondary income or secondary business opportunity or whatever, right? And make sure they avoid single source income dependency, I would say. Yeah, maybe you can use the word maybe, but and then the third thing, the next thing that we have to look for is, I think we discussed that in the recent podcast too, lifestyle inflation. That is a major contributor for most of credit card debts too. People, I know some who work hard the whole week, make whatever money they make, and then I know because I was working at the same location long back, and I was making the same income too. But anyways, I know what they make, at least compared to my income. But by the end of the day, Friday they're done, and next day on what do you call those? Next day when they come to no, Monday or sometime, you see them Air Jordans and whatever. Right? Like, I'm not saying that people should not buy, but if income is less, why do you need to why do you need to spend? And if you start asking them to say, you know what, this is not, maybe you should look after spending whatever, right? And they'll get they'll get angry on you, right? So anyways, yeah, people should, a household should look after the look not look after, they must control lifestyle inflation. That there's no questions asked on that, right? We don't need higher mortgages. We need not go for see, a person, let's say for example, if somebody has income is like what, 80,000, he need not buy a house for he don't need a 1.1 million, 1.2 million house, right? Let's say if a family with two, wife, husband and two kids or three kids, they don't need to they don't need a 5 bedroom house. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying how the way I think, at least, right? We need not go for a 5 bedroom house and then just for showing other people, hey, he has a big house and whatever, and then end of the day, every month you are crying to pay the mortgage. So we should look for a check on mortgage, how much we spend on mortgage, how much. We don't need expensive vehicles too, right? You know how much mileage my car has? You always come, right? Do you know how much kilometers my car drove so far?
Maybe 200,000, 300,000.
No, it's 400,000. 400,000 kilometers, and I am I am pretty much sure I will drive another 400,000 kilometers on the same car. Why do I need to buy a new car? I don't think so. I don't think I need to buy a new car. Get the servicing done properly. As long as the car is running, I will keep it running. Right? Anyways, yeah. So expensive vehicle, we don't need expensive vehicles. We don't need higher insurance, like high insurance costs and whatever. We go for a higher vehicle, bigger insurance cost. It's not just for that, for everything, right? Anyways, so there are people that there are ways that people can prepare themselves and face this situation. And there is another thing I want to bring it up, right? Like psychological preparation. People should be prepared for slower growth, for slower asset accumulation, I would say, and higher stress or financial stress, I would say, right? Because the situation is bad, and people should be ready for that. So if you ask me how families should be prepared, I would say, yeah, build the liquidity, build the liquidity, remove or clear your debt, keep your spendings in check, right? And then go do additional job. No, I would say, like, no, increase your income flexibility, and then control your expenses or lifestyle inflation, right? This is the only way. What do you think?
Yeah, true. Well, pretty much right. Like I said, the first step, tracking the expense, is where they can see what is need, what is want, and what is something that can be avoided. And once they see that in their spending habit, that's the trigger point for them to do what to do next with their money. It 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 can be towards closing their debt. It could be for saving for themselves. That can be used as a fund in an event of an emergency, or even keeping that money on long term. We, people who believe that I don't have money at present, they should think about earning more. They can please their employer for higher income. They can get a promotion for a higher package. They can do extra work like double shift, triple shift, or overtime, and finally they can earn more income you know uh, through any other possible means in a legal way.
Mhm. I was when you were talking, I was just looking at another tweet from, but that is entirely related to US, by the way. But that tweet came up on, that is posted on December 28th. Give me a minute. Let me see if I can share that. Is that if you see, let's these for US, right? As per power to the people, I don't know who they are, but by the way, let me see who they are. By the way, proud socialist. Okay. Uh, Anyways, so US household debt just hit record high of 18.59 trillion, and here we are talking about what, 3 trillion. So what does that mean? What does that mean is, every household owes $10,000 in credit card, $18,000 in medical debt, 22,000 in auto loan, 59,000 in student loan, and $241,000 in mortgage. And on the same way, if you look at, there's another tweet from, that's okay. There's another tweet from, the same table salt. Yes, that is 8 hours ago. He said Toronto, what do you call the housing market, condo market, NEOC CREA data points to rapid price decline in Toronto condo market. See, I just heard somewhere, not heard, I read the news yesterday that Toronto market, for the first time, housing market, no, not, sorry, not the housing market, what do you call that? Toronto condos price drop below 400, right? Maybe I'll find it here somewhere. Where did I see that? Oh, this one. Yeah, February 6th. Toronto condo sellers are now paying buyers. This is from Shazi. He's featured in Globe and Mail, in Saga, Durham region. Okay, Mississauga guy. Okay. Uh, so according to his tweet, I think he took it from some other newspaper. I don't know whichever, but desperate Toronto sellers offering up to 500,000 cash back to offload condos. That's a bad situation, right? That's super bad. Yeah, I know that this is what we are discussing, right? Like,
But
everything
why would
comes
that be a
on.
bad situation? Like we are thinking in two aspects. One, when the housing markets were going up really crazy, there are obvious talks, what would be the actual way to control the price, or what would be the standards to set a price based on, I know, would that be based on the city or based on the features of the home or based on this, overall, like size, or when I say size, the overall, plot size of the home, or is that because of the features within the home, the way how it is being built? I believe when when people were rushing to buy home, when especially when the interest rate was low, uh, people may already know what would be the value of the home. Still, because of the race of buying a home, for one home, I don't know, probably like 15, 20 people were trying to get a home, and only one person is going to eventually win to become a owner. And
No, that is
now,
the
if
case. That's the
there
bidding
are,
case. That's
yeah, but now when the condos are being built and they are sold for, even if it is 400,000, right? Why should people say it is 200,000 low? That is the standard being set for that condo. Basically, people should be happy, right? Why they should think the other way?
yeah. The thing is, yeah, yeah, as you mentioned during COVID time, right? 2021, people started to book lots of what you call those, or you call the pre-construction houses or homes, and most of them are condo. When I was in Mississauga, like they are building. I do not want to name the site, but they are building this. I don't know how much, 7,000, 8,000 condo apartments there. Wow, that's people. I don't know. They just rush like crazy for that, right? And then on the same way, interest rates were super low, and this enabled people to run for that, right? So that people, most of the people thought that's a better deal. And on the same way, most the developers are also are also uh, are also doing those, constructing the projects, right? Doing those projects, and they are ready to sell at, uh, I don't want to say it, but slightly below the original prices to the buyers, uh, because there is this locked in valuations, I would say. uh, no, locked in, the valuations are locked in, but the thing is they are peaked, right? They're, how to say, we can say they are peaked valuations, right? And what do you call the assumption, rate assumption is what, 2%, or less than 2%, I believe, right, at that time. And if somebody is buying a house for 900,000 at that time, I would say, obviously today's price, I don't know how much will that cost, 600, 700,000, right? But somehow buyers manage to bring that additional difference too, like, uh, what do you call that, okay, as you just mentioned, right, like the bidding and whatever. So buyers did come up with additional funds, and then they started buying those pre-construction houses and whatever. But what's happening now is, the interest rate, the biggest shock, right? That's the biggest shock, right? uh, Interest rates were way too low at that time, but now the rates become normal, right? 2.7, 2.2, 2.5, whatever. And now because of that, the affordability dropped like crazy, or collapsed, I would say, a single word, right? And then costs double, obviously, for investors or people who bought those, right? And on the same way, pre-construction demand was too speculative at the time, and people just relied on, what you call the assumed price at that time, and also the same bidding war and whatever, right? And people also considered opportunities for rental cash flow, like buy a condo, give it for rent and whatever, right? And they need not work. Like too many people succeeded too. By the way, I do not want to blame anybody, but most people, not most people, many people did succeed with that plan, but they had some backup to when they jumped into the market. They had some backup, but most of the people that jumped in there, they could not, right? And then there is a what do you call that, supply obviously is too much at that time, right? And mostly they are all rental property, right? So studio apartments, single bedroom. If you're going to, I don't know, if you go towards Toronto or in GT area, you'll see lots of single bedroom houses coming up. I think they are all still in construction phase from that time. I do not want to speculate here, but still I think that is what. But end of the day, end of the day, the thing is, what you call the rates kind of normalized, and then stuff went down. But what do you think will happen in future? What is your opinion there?
See, my thinking is going this way. Like there is a correction already happening in the market,
Yeah.
and that correction is not is not in the, like, in the place where it is going to stay stagnant. It may even, like, house prices even may go down, like, further from what the current valuation is. But everything is based on how the next rate cut is going to be announced as, right? There are many people who are waiting outside to buy a home, looking for the same good old days will come and they can secure a place. Or if I want to rephrase that, people are waiting so that they will not end up in a struggle phase like many house owners are currently undergoing. Like buying a home, and then when the interest rates when the interest rate goes high, that struggle, what they currently see or they are experiencing. People always talk outside. You may go out for a gathering, you go out at workplace, or even when you talk to friends and families. So there are strong recommendations whether you need to buy a home or not, or do you need to rent now. What would be the better way to save money? And if you have money, start saving towards, maybe for your retirement, or grow it tax free so that you can take it when it is the time to, to own a home. Or even if you want to travel, don't rely on your credit cards or line of credit. You save money, use that money and go around the world, and so that you will not end up going on a vacation thinking about how much expense it is happening, what would be the cost on top of the credit card, what would be the interest rate, how many number of days I need to wait, or how many number of months it will take to repay it. That basically kills the joy of going on a vacation. So people have to plan better, but eventually the future is going to be, on a various on various decisions, um, through Bank of Canada, or how their housing markets are going to correct the price, and eventually how the existing landlords or upcoming landlords are going to plan their overall budgeting for their family so that they will not get into too much of debt.
Yeah, what I feel is prices will still go down 5 to 10%. Maybe I do not want to give the number, but I'm just speculating at this time. But for sure, the prices will go down still, and maybe new launches. The construction may slow down, and whatever the supply that we have, that's out there in the market, may get cleared in the next 4 years, I would say. Right, but on the same way, it all depends upon conditions like the inflation, employment rate, and whatever, right? Unemployment, sorry, and the trade conditions with the foreign trade policy, I would say. Yeah, simply.
That is what, based on what we see in the news, right? That's your opinion. But in reality, I have noticed like at least three, four communities that is being actively built in and around my, like home premises, and because there is a new school opened it very recently, within 4 months, there is a new community, and most of the plots or empty lands around the school, I started seeing 8 to 10 houses already with people inside the home. So all these happened in just last 6 months. So there is another three homes that is currently under construction, and if things are going in the same pace, I would see another 10 to 15 home before end of this year, or maybe more than that, with people in there. I'm not talking about no people are like build construction has been completed and building is or that finished construction is waiting for someone to own that place. So things that were empty before, they waited all this time and now they started doing construction.
No, that is, yeah, I do agree with that. But the thing is, this is what I was trying to say. Everywhere construction is happening, but on the same way, we did see that the prices are dropping. That means whatever we see there is not, may not be actually true. People, maybe they may be investors, we don't know, right? And not everyone who is buying the houses are stable, uh, their condition, right? But anyways, but end of the day, if you ask me, then this is going to give increase load on the people. If the situation don't get better, then it's not easy to for the situation to get better. But the thing is, it is going to add lots of load on the families. If families are not prepared and are not ready with the proper financial planning, then they can expect some chaos. This is what I can say. When you were talking, I was just looking at the, what you call this, US market. Just give me a minute. Is that, here is the, ah, sign in with Google. Okay, let me log in here. It is me. Yes. Okay. Why is this? It is me. Done. Why is this taking so much time? கேக்குதா?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. Okay. Let me share. I want to close this now. I think it's already too late. But before, I would like to share this screen. What is that? Where is that SPX? Did you see the chart? I think I remember I sent you a text last couple of, like last year, I believe, at some point. Uh, if people have guts, if they invest $500,000 somewhere here, $500 somewhere here, they will be making whatever money, right? And I believe I gave what, 7,700. It will cross 6,500 or 800 at by the end of sorry, what do you call that? End of 2025. And after what, 113 days is what I think I gave. It's what, 7,700 is what I gave, right? But still, for the market to go from here, 113 days from 2026, sorry, from February, right? If the market will still go down here, but I want to just bring it up, right? But if somebody is looking for investment, I think this is a better time, if you ask me. That's a good market condition here. All right, I think we can still see market going up to here. But by the way, anyone who invested $500 here at this point, but not everywhere, but there, that I want to say, not in every other instrument, in order for them to do that, it needs cuts. But anyways, market is in a good condition now. So if it reaches 7,700, so people who started investing here in a particular format or instrument, if it comes here, they will be making $250,000. Would have made already, right? They might have already made so much money here. But anyways, I just brought it up because I want to look at how the markets are doing. So this is going to be very good, I believe. Anyways, is there anything else you want to share, or are we good?
No, this is a very good discussion. I wanted to say to all our listeners to thanks for listening. If this episode helped them, and I can share it with someone who needs it, and they can hear it too.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, but then I think I will end this now. Okay, Ji. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.